Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And we do have a fun video planned today with lots and lots to look forward to. Really, I'd say for all of the big three. These here are the type of videos that I enjoy making when I get to share all this great news. But yes, Xbox Game Pass just revealed the first lineup of games for the month of September, which of course includes a few day one releases. That here is exactly why I love this service so much. But interestingly enough, they're also teasing something else that I think, yeah, we better pay attention to. Also, speaking of teasing exciting games, PlayStation appears to be teasing one of their next major titles as well. So yeah, like I said before, a fun day ahead. But if you want even more fun days like this, make sure to hit those buttons below. Like, subscribe, and most importantly, hit that bell notification so you never miss a video again. Let's go and get to the news though, starting off with CyberPunk 2077. They did have their CyberPunk showcase today where they talked about various things, including the upcoming Netflix anime titled Edge Runners. It will officially air on September 13th for those who are interested. They also talked about the CyberPunk 2077 1.6 version update, which brings a plethora of improvements and new ways to play, such as expanded wardrobe customization, more apartment options, new weapons, 3 new gigs, cross progression, and even a new arcade game that you can play, being Roach Race, which your fans might actually get a kick out of this one. But the biggest announcement here was that yes, they have now officially revealed Cyberpunk's first major expansion titled Phantom Liberty. Now, they didn't go into great detail as to what all will be in this expansion, but they did, however, show a brief teaser trailer revealing that it is set in a new location within Night City, and then they also confirmed that Johnny Silverhand, played by Keanu Reeves, will indeed be back. I know a lot of people will be very, very excited about that. When can you get your hands on this expansion though? Well, they aren't quite ready to give us an exact release date just yet, but it is coming sometime in 2023 for the Xbox Series, the PlayStation 5, and then also the PC. So this is a next generation exclusive. The 1.6 update will actually be the last for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, which really I do think is quite understandable by this point in the generation. They did have a lot of problems with those consoles early on, and the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series, they have been out for a few years now. So I think it makes sense for more games to primarily focus on next generation development so they can just fully utilize their hardware. All in all, though, it does appear that CD Projekt Red is just one step closer in giving fans what they originally set out to do in the first place. Now, I don't know if it's enough to necessarily bring me back per se, but I've said it before, and I'll just say it again here. Beyond the launch problems with Cyberpunk, I'd still say it was a pretty good game, and if it does work as intended now, if you haven't played this game already, it sounds like now might actually be the perfect time to jump in. Let me know though, are you going to go back and play Cyberpunk 2077 with this update or with the upcoming expansion? Let me know in the comments below. Now, we also got an update for one of Nintendo's big 2022 holiday games, being Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I mean, this game is coming out here in just a few months, as it is set to release on November 18th, and they're kind of doing this consistent drip feed of news, keeping fans engaged, and that looks to continue tomorrow on September 7th, as they just announced a new trailer will indeed drop in the morning at 6 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Now, we don't know exactly what they're set to reveal here, so who knows about all that, but at the very least, we'll probably see some new Pokemon. I would expect that, and maybe they'll show how some of its features work. This is their first fully open-world mainline Pokemon game after all, so there are a lot of questions as to how all this will work, and with these trailer updates, they can give us a little bit more detail to some of that. I'll save some of my thoughts for tomorrow after we get that trailer though, but I do continue to hope they'll eventually talk about its challenge. I know Game Freak probably doesn't care about this near as much as I do, but I do wonder if this is going to be another overly easy mainline Pokemon game, or will they finally cave in and give us older Pokemon fans an extra little challenge? Probably not, but I always find that to be such a shame considering how much depth Pokemon has in the competitive scene. They just don't really incorporate that into the single player component, but you know, I guess it is what it is. Either way, go ahead and set your alarm if you want to watch that trailer in the morning. Let's go and talk about Xbox Game Pass, though. They do actually have a few things going on over there. Make sure to stay tuned for all that. But first, let's get into the more immediate news. It is that time of the month where they revealed some new Xbox Game Pass games, and this includes 8 new titles for the first half of September. To be more precise, this is actually 8 new games over just the next 9 days. There will be more. But as you can see here, the first half of September includes Disney Dreamlight Valley Founders Edition. You have DC League of Super Pets. You Suck at Parking. Yeah, that's not very nice. Then you have Train SimWorld 3, Despot's Game, Metal Hellsinger, Opus Magnum, and then last but not least, you have Ashes of Singularity Escalation. As a bit of a bonus, Grid Legends is also available, which released on September 1st in EA Play, in case you missed it. Now, I'd say the thing that stands out about this lineup specifically is that if you do have younger kids, I'd say that there are some noteworthy games here, especially with Dreamlight Valley. Now, this game is probably not going to be for most of us that's watching this video, but this game does look surprisingly good for a younger audience, and I'd say that it does have some potential of being a very successful game if done right. That, of course, is the big question here. But this is a magical life sim set in the Disney universe where Disney and Pixar characters live in harmony, and then they combine that with an adventure style of game as night thorns have grown across the land. So that's where you kind of come in as you set out to bring magic back to Dreamlight Valley. Again, I think that if you have younger kids, this here is a game worth trying out, or hey, maybe you yourself just like Disney and Pixar. That's perfectly fine as well. Again, I don't know if necessarily all of us will be excited about it, but I do think that they're nice inclusions. But if you're looking for more of a mature game, well, you do have Metal Hellsinger. That might be the game for you. This is a very interesting day one title that has garnered quite a lot of attention online. It's this combination of a first-person shooter with a rhythm game. It looks kind of like Doom a little bit, but you're supposed to shoot with the rhythm of music, and I'd say that it really looks like a fun combination that's just a little bit different than other games out there. The fact that it will release day one in the Game Pass, though, just makes things even better. But if you do want to try Metal Hellsinger out yourself, it is set to release on September 15th. Also, You Suck at Parking surprisingly actually looks pretty good. This is another day one release, and this is actually the first time that I've heard about this game myself, but after watching a gameplay trailer, I'm oddly intrigued by this. It's like this old school arcade game where you have to complete these over-the-top challenging parking scenarios. Honestly, I think it looks pretty fun myself. I'll probably try this one out when it releases on September 14th. There's also Despot's Game, which releases, you know it, day one on September 15th. It's described as a roguelike tactics army battler. I don't know if this game is necessarily for me, per se, but interestingly enough, if you do like these games, it is available in Steam Early Access, and fans seem to really enjoy it as it has an 86 positive user rating. So just kind of take that as you will, but there's plenty of day one releases here if any of them interest you. I'm not going to say that this is the strongest Xbox Game Pass lineup ever, but there are still more games coming in the second half of September, such as Grounded 1.0, and then maybe possibly Deathloop. That is the big one everybody's kind of wondering about. Will it come to Xbox this month or not? Of course, right now, PlayStation has that timed exclusive deal, which supposedly ends on September 13th, where Xbox would then supposedly be allowed to legally talk about an Xbox port, unless Sony had a clause that they could extend its timed exclusivity like they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I guess we'll see about all that here soon enough. Interestingly enough, though, Xbox is already teasing more Game Pass games, as they noted on Xbox Wire that Game Pass subscribers should pay attention to their TGS showcase on September 15th. Now, of course, I will update you all on whatever they do announce there, so you won't miss it. But this is, I would say, interesting. Considering this is TGS that we're talking about, you have to wonder if they have some surprise Japanese game announcements planned. You know, Xbox has done a good job at getting more Japanese games this generation for the Xbox Series, but there's still some notable games out there that's missed out on a platform such as the Trials of Mana series. There's also Ni no Kuni. That would be a big inclusion. And then you also have the Neon Falcom games like Legends of Heroes. So maybe we could possibly see a surprise announcement like one of those here at TGS. Now, who knows exactly what it'll be, but I will say that the Xbox TGS showcase just got a little bit more interesting, and of course, I will let you all know as soon as we find out. In the meantime, though, we do have some new Game Pass games, and let me know if any of these games excite you personally. Now, we do also have some PlayStation news to talk about today, as Naughty Dog is seemingly teasing their next major game within The Last of Us Part 1. Now, for the most part, The Last of Us Part 1 is a one-to-one remake with a substantial upgrade to its visuals and with its animations. So when something new is in this game, well, that does kind of stand out. And, well, some hardcore fans have claimed that they've spotted a new inclusion, which are posters of what looks to be concept art of a fantasy game. As you can see here in the pictures, the posters include a woman that appears to have fantasy attire equipped, a flying Pegasus, and even dragons. So if this here actually is Naughty Dog teasing a brand new game, which I do believe that very much could be the case, then this would be a drastic shift in what we've seen in some of their previous work. Really, since the Jak and Daxter days, Naughty Dog has pretty much solely focused on more realistic settings, being Uncharted and with The Last of Us. But that is the thing about the studio. They are just so incredibly talented, and they've really just shown that time and time again with pretty much all of their previous franchises, including Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter. The Uncharted series was absolutely phenomenal, and of course, you also have The Last of Us. I mean, yes, The Last of Us Part 2 was very controversial. I mean, there's really no way around that. But for the most part, their games have been pretty universally praised by both fans and critics alike, and even with Part 2. There might be some criticism with its story, but that game very much is special in terms of its combat and with its animations. So, I mean, Naughty Dog very clearly is a talented studio. There's no doubt about that. They're a premier PlayStation studio that draws a lot of attention among fans. This is a fan favorite, and it would be very interesting to see what that talent can do in a fantasy universe where they could really just maximize their creativity. Now, whether or not these posters really are teasing a brand new fantasy game, though, well, that still remains in question. But there are reasons to believe that they are teasing a new game here. See, the thing is that this is something that Naughty Dog has done in the past. Within Uncharted 3, as an example, they actually did tease The Last of Us in a newspaper in that game where they talked about a deadly fungus. Now, we all know what that deadly fungus is if you've played The Last of Us. So it's certainly not out of the realms of possibility that they could be doing something similar here. I mean, as always, we'll just have to kind of wait and see for ourselves. But all in all, this really does line up with some of the rumors that we've already heard. This is not the first time that we've heard that Naughty Dog could possibly be making a new fantasy game, and this just kind of adds more fuel to the fire. Plus, I mean, if it's true that this is a new inclusion in The Last of Us Part 1, then that's likely not by accident. I want to hear from you all, though. Would you like to see a new fantasy game from Naughty Dog, or instead would you like to see something else, or maybe even for them to just kind of continue on one of their already well-established franchises? Let me know. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, how often do you play split-screen local co-op in games? And as you can see here, most of you all actually do not play these split-screen games, with 40% of you saying never, you only play co-op online, 25% of you said rarely, you mostly play online co-op, and then 20% said sometimes, while 8% said often. Now, with the recent Halo Infinite news, I'd say the results here are kind of interesting. What this tells me is that the vast majority don't really necessarily play split screen all that often, which I figured was the case, as most people play online nowadays. That's understandable, but at the same time, with 28% of you voting that you do play split screen often, or at least sometimes, that's still a significant amount of people that enjoys this type of feature. That is 1 out of every 4 people that likes to play split screen, which that is certainly noteworthy. And ultimately, I do think split screen is just a good overall addition to have, especially for those that like to play games with their family. Now, I know I grew up playing games on split screen when my friends or family visited, and I have very fond memories of that. And even now, if I have that option, which might be rare anymore, but when I do get that chance, I'll try to play with my family if I think it's a game they'll enjoy. So while I know we are seeing this feature less and less over the years, I still think it's important, and it's why so many people are emphatic over 343 canceling split screen for Halo, which, you know, has been a great split screen game in the past, which I'd say is just really an odd situation all around. There is actually a glitch that people have found to where you can get co-op working within Halo Infinite, and seemingly it runs fine for the most part on both the Xbox One and the Xbox Series, which just kind of begs the question, why did they cancel it? Now, there might be some problems with it that we don't know about currently, especially for the Xbox One version, but if that is the case, as we talked about earlier with CyberPunk 2077, maybe it's just kind of time for 343 to look beyond the Xbox One. You would think eventually they'd want to primarily focus on the Xbox Series the further we get into the generation. But, I mean, I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see. At the end of the day, I do hope 343 goes back and reconsiders getting that local co-op to work, because, as you're seeing in the results here, even if it's not necessarily the majority of people, there's still a significant amount of fans out there that do enjoy split screen, as it certainly does have some big benefits. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.